Howdy folks, today I'm going to show you how to do the glute bridge test. This is one of my favorite tests to see, one, do we have enough hip extension for our daily life and sport performance? And two, are we getting that hip extension from the right places? So let me talk you through how to perform this test. It's fairly easy to do and grade yourself, and it'll tell you a lot about how your programming is improving your hip extension. So for this test, I don't necessarily need a treatment table. You can do this on the floor or the ground. I just would rather you have something more stable than more squishy. So maybe don't perform this test on your bed. So what we want to do is have our knees bent and our feet flat in a comfortable position, not too far away and not way too close. Whatever feels natural to you is probably correct. Now, right off the bat, I like to give people a tip. I want you, when you do this glute bridge, to mostly be pushing through your heels and not through your toes. This is a really common mistake I see, and I'll guarantee you that you are not going to pass this test if you're pushing through your toes. So I want to give you some help right off the bat so we have a good chance. Now next, what I want you to do is cross your arms. This is the glute bridge test, not the arm bridge test. So I don't want you to dig into the floor or the table or try to push with your arms at all. So let's go ahead and cross those arms. Now the next step is we're going to lift our hips into a perfect tabletop position. So I want to see a nice straight line from my shoulder through my hip into my knee. So we don't want to live here where I still have a big crease. I want to try to push all the way up into a nice tabletop position. Now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to lift 1 foot off of the table or the floor, just about an inch, and we're going to hold that position for 10 seconds. Now let me take a break here for a second. While we're holding for 10 seconds, I need you to be focusing on what you feel. So you're going to feel maybe a couple of muscles working to hold you up in this top position. At the end of our 10 seconds, we're going to kind of go through those muscles that are working and give a percentage of how much overall work we felt each of these muscles doing. And I'll tell you how you pass this test once we've done it. So again, feet in a comfortable position. I'm pushing through my heels, arms crossed, get all the way up into this tabletop position, maybe a little higher than you might think. And what I'm going to do is get my foot in a nice stable position. I'm going to lift my left foot slightly off the ground and try to hold this. Good. So once I've finished those 10 seconds, we're going to go back to the table and think about what happened. All right, great. Let me talk you through what I was feeling and how I would grade myself on that right-legged glute bridge test. So you might have seen me dip just a little bit, and you might have seen a little bit of shaking. And that's okay. I am personally working on improving this right glute so that I can hit the golf ball a little bit further and feel better in my workouts. So a couple of muscles that you might have felt working. So you have your quadriceps here on the top of your thigh. This one doesn't kick in on most people, especially if you did push through your heels, but it could have. So think about a percentage of work that you feel like that quadricep did. Sometimes people will feel this in their low back muscles. Now, the other trick here is it might be on the side of the foot that was on the ground. So that was my right leg that I was working. Some people might feel it in that right low back, but interestingly enough, some people will feel it on the opposite side as well. So regardless, I like to start by asking people if they felt their low back working really hard. We don't want it to be working very hard in this situation, and if it does, that definitely warrants further investigation and might be a major cause of things like back pain. Now, another area we might feel working, and we're getting to a better area here, okay, is going to be our core muscles. When I get into that perfect flat tabletop position, my core muscles are helping to lift this bottom part of my core upwards, helping to kind of tuck my tailbone and lift that up. So it is good to feel a little bit of core muscle work. But again, we're not deadlifting 600 pounds. We're not squatting 550 pounds. We don't need to be crazy tense doing this glute bridge. Now, the most common areas that people feel working for this exercise. Let's do the bad one first, okay? And this is gonna be your hamstring. Now, some of y'all might not have even lasted a full 10 seconds in the glute bridge test because your hamstring cramped. That's an immediate fail of this test, and I'm going to always give you the same joke. It's called the glute bridge test, not the hamstring cramp test. This is an immediate cause for further investigation because, again, we don't want our hamstrings trying to perform hip extension. They can in some situations, but at least in this glute bridge movement, they really shouldn't be doing that much. So if they're overworking to the point where you're getting a cramp and seizing up, let's figure out why that's the case. The last muscle, obviously, it's the glute bridge test. We should have our glutes working. So my ultimate goal and a perfect pass for the glute bridge test would be that you're able to get into a perfect tabletop position. When you lifted one foot up, you didn't sink or dip or tilt any way. You were able to hold that for about 10 slow seconds, and you felt at least 90% of the work holding you up there being done by that same-sided glute. So if my right foot was down, I would say, oh yeah, I felt about 90 to maybe even 100% of that support being provided by my glute and my hip, all right? If you had maybe 50-50, it was hamstring glute. Maybe you said 10% in my low back, 10% in my core, 60% hamstring, 20% glute. We've got a lot of things going on right now. Definitely warrants some further investigation to figure out how we can get you to that perfect tabletop position, nice and stable, breathing easy, 100% glute. So that is your glute bridge test. Again, I do this with pretty much every single person who I work with because we want to be able to see how well we can extend our hips, such a key aspect into both our daily lives as well as any type of sport performance. We want to try to get you passing this glute bridge test with flying colors.